All right, so this is chapter World Immigration. We're going to go to our question first. Man, I made that a little too big. All right, blank is the act of coming to a foreign country to live. Keep the chat clear, thanks. All right. Immigration is the act of coming to a foreign country to live. So number one is immigration. I think somebody is trying to make me like be in a not grumpy mood. The act of leaving one's country to settle in another is called oh my goodness. It's so far. All right, the act of leaving one's country to settle in another is called emigration. Immigrants who flee their country because of persecution, war, or such disasters as famines or epidemics are known as refugees. I think that might be the next one. Keep the chat clear so people can find the answers if they are missing it or they need to go to the bathroom or whatever else. All right, immigrants who flee their country because of persecution, war, or refugees. I'm going to copy and paste it just to make sure I don't misspell it. Another reason to use the chat, you can copy and paste this so you don't misspell it. Can somebody paste the link to the chapter? Thank you. All right. The main reason for immigration, however, has long been blank opportunity. All right. Whee. Many immigrants to a new country first settle in a community made up of people from their native land or even their native village. They keep their old customs and acquire limited knowledge of their new country's culture, language, and values. In time, however, most immigrants, and especially their children, begin to assimilate, adapt to a new culture. Immigrants who adapt most quickly usually have a background similar to the new cultural environment and many contacts with the new society. They also plan to remain permanently. Immigrants have made enormous contributions to the culture and economy of such nations as Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, Israel, New Zealand, and the United States. But their accomplishments have been made with great difficulty. Many of the receiving countries have restricted immigration to maintain a society in which all people shared the same ethnic, geographic, and cultural background. Although some immigration laws have been relaxed, many newcomers of different backgrounds still face challenges in gaining acceptance. All right, immigration to countries other than the United States. The most commonly traveled immigration route has long led from Europe to the United States, but other countries have also received many immigrants. This section discusses immigration to other... Hang on. Did I miss it? Where is this? I don't know. Hang on, I'm looking because I really feel like... Did I miss the other... May have missed it. Let's see. Driven many people... Oh, did I miss all of this? Yeah, I missed like all of this. People leave their homeland, move to another country for various reasons. Some emigrate to avoid starvation, some seek adventure, others wish to escape unbearable family situations, still others desire to be reunited with loved ones. Religious persecution has led many people to move to a new land for freedom to practice their faith. Wars, revolutions, and political unrest have driven many people to find new homes. In the 1990s alone, millions of refugees fled from warfare in Bosnia. Oh, wow. Okay. Herzegovina? Ooh. East Timor, Ethiopia, Iraq, Kosovo, then a province of Serbia, Liberia, and Rwanda. The main reason for immigration, however, has long been an economic opportunity. The lure of better land, a better job, or better life. Today, professional people commonly immigrate because of better opportunities elsewhere. For example, many Philippine doctors and nurses and numerous Indian doctors, engineers, scientists have moved to the United States and Canada. All right, so this is number 3 or 4. 4. If you miss out on questions, you can't find them, and they will always be in here. So if you're like, I can't find it, then that means you need to read again, look harder. All right, in time, however, most immigrants, especially their children, begin to, this where assimilate comes in. That's why I was like, I know I'm reading too far without getting anything. So let's see, there it is. Assimilate. All right. So 5 is assimilate. Okay, blank left India for Pakistan. Yeah. All right, where was I at? I think we were we in Canada? This is what happens. Okay, I got through all that. So immigration to countries other than, yeah, I read that, I do believe, didn't I? Maybe not. The most commonly traveled immigration route is long, led from Europe to the United States, but other countries have also received many immigrants. This section discusses immigration to other parts of the world since the end of the Second World War in 1945. Canada, today, immigrants are admitted regardless of their ancestry, race, religion, or sex. In the early 2000s, Canada received more than 235,000 235,000. I know, right? Immigrants a year. More than half were Asian, including the Chinese who'd been barred before. Canada also received refugees from the Vietnam War, which was in 1957 to 1975. Canada accepts fewer immigrants than the United States does, but a larger percentage of its population is foreign-born. All right. During the 1950s, Venezuela joined Argentina and Brazil as a major immigrant-receiving country. After the 1950s, immigration to Latin America declined because of the region's lack of jobs and its rapidly growing population. In addition, Argentina and Brazil limited Asian immigration. However, much immigration took place within Latin America. Many Latin Americans fled to Argentina and Venezuela to escape political unrest. During the 1980s, immigrants were unskilled workers moving among the countries of Latin America. Many professionals immigrated to countries outside the region. All right. Where is this other? Oh, okay. Okay, it's coming up in Asia, I think. After World War II ended in 1945, Australia started to welcome European refugees. In 1975, the country began admitting Southeast Asian refugees and Chinese immigrants seeking a better life. New Zealand eased its immigration restrictions in 1986. Both countries still strongly prefer immigrants of European origin and give limited welcome to others. Just so New Zealand is like an island that's right near Australia. All right, Asia. Except for Israel, most immigrants to Asia came from other Asian countries. In 1947, Pakistan was created from parts of India. About 10 million people fled from one country to another. Hindus and Sikhs fled from Pakistan to India. Hang on a second. Let me see this again. All right. Hindus and Sikhs fled from Pakistan. Muslims left India for Pakistan. I'm not all the way awake, I think. All right, number 6 is Muslims. All right. In 1950, Israel passed the law of blank, which allows almost any Jew to settle in Israel. All right, let me finish the rest of this. Where in the world? Okay. Muslims left India for Pakistan after East Pakistan became Bangladesh in 1971. Millions more Hindus and Sikhs went to India. So you can see here the motivation for movement is probably more so religion than anything. So in India, you'll find a lot of Hindus, and Pakistan is more towards the Middle East area. And so that's going to be very Islam driven. So you'll find a lot of Muslims there. So by kind of separating that way, they're finding common ground a little bit with each other. Or, well, not with each other, by moving. All right. By the late 1980s, almost 2 million refugees had fled countries of Southeast Asia because of warfare. Although many of them settled in the United States, large groups remained in Malaysia and Thailand and other Southeastern Asian lands to which they first fled. The Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 and 1980 caused millions of Afghans to flee. Many more Afghans left their country during the 1990s when rival Afghan groups fought each other to gain power. By the late 1990s, a conservative Islamic group called the Taliban controlled most of Afghanistan. In the early 2000s, several million Afghans lived in Pakistan and Iran. By 1948, when Israel was founded, some 450,000 Jews had arrived. Most of them were from Central and Eastern Europe. In 1950, Israel passed the Law of Return, which allowed almost any Jew to settle in Israel. Since the founding of Israel, about 3 million more Jews have immigrated there, chiefly from the Middle East and Mediterranean Sea region. Immigration to Israel declined. Hang on, let me put this in here. 7 is Law of Return. Immigration to Israel declined in the early 1970s. Immigration remained low until 1989, when the number of Jews arriving from the Soviet Union rose sharply. In the following years, hundreds of thousands of Jews immigrated from Soviet and former Soviet lands. Many of these immigrants came after the Soviet Union was dissolved. So this first one, this Law of Return, this is basically just after. So 1948. This is where we're talking about World War II kind of ending. And what they did was, because of the Holocaust, and what happened was when they got a lot of the Jews into like concentration camps, those homes that they like vacated and all their belongings were like moved out of there. Their belongings were sold. Essentially anything was gone. So when they let them out of the concentration camps, they went back and people were living in their houses and their stuff was gone. So in a sense, they ended up being like, well, we've got nowhere to go. So Britain and the United States, I think Britain more than anything, kind of gave them Israel and were like, hey, this is you guys' spot, which this is going to cause a lot of problems later. And by later, I mean now, right this instant, between Palestine and Israel and the whole Middle East. So this is going to be a mess. All right. Immigration to, okay, I read that one. All right. Africa, vast numbers of people move about on the African continent in search of better farmlands or employment opportunities. Oh man, must go to. All right. So that's going to be French. Côte d'Ivoire. Oh, I don't remember my French. Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire. Ivory Coast is what that is. Coast. So coast of Ivory. This is it's. So when we talk about imperialism, you'll like start understanding why There's a lot of French speaking in Africa. All right, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda. Why didn't I just put Ivory Coast? Jeez. All right.